Welcome back to The Explainer, everyone. I am incredibly excited today because we are going to dive deep into a text that is absolutely foundational, yet it holds these fascinating secrets that, honestly, most of us have never even heard. We are cracking open the original, uncut, and highly detailed Valmiki Ramayana, and specifically, we're focusing on the Balkand. We're going straight to the source to uncover the original descriptions and narratives that just kind of get lost in modern translations. Okay, let's dive into this. You probably think you know the entire story of the Ramayana, right? I mean, you've seen the television adaptations, you've read the abridged versions, and you've known the core narrative since you were a kid. But what if I told you there are these incredible, highly cinematic, and frankly mind-blowing details left on the cutting room floor of those modern retellings? Today, we are going to explore those hidden depths and look at this ancient epic through an entirely new, vivid lens. So, let's start with Section 1. The grandeur of ancient Ayodhya. To really get this, we've got to go all the way back chronologically to the very beginning of the Balkand, setting the scene right in King Dasharat's legendary city. Long before the forced exile, way before the Great War, there was the grand capital of the Kosala kingdom, sitting right on the banks of the Sarayu River. And you know, when you look directly at the source material, there's just an immediate sense of awe. As the researcher diving into the Sanskrit text noted, I was actually pretty surprised that such an old book described things so beautifully and in such detail. It is definitely not just some dry historical or mythological account, it's vividly cinematic. You can literally close your eyes and form a perfect mental picture of this ancient world. Let's look at exactly what made this city so breathtaking. Imagine we're zooming in on the city like a film director. Ayodhya was absolutely massive. We're talking 12 yojans long and 3 yojans wide. To put that into perspective, a single yojan is roughly 12 to 15 kilometers. So yeah, it was an absolute metropolis, surrounded on all sides by deep, defensive moats. Cutting right through the center was this expansive highway lined with lush green trees. And the residential architecture? No way to understate this. The houses were literally studded with gorgeous gemstones. Plus, it wasn't some quiet, sparse ancient town. The text explicitly points out that it had an incredibly dense and bustling population. It was a thriving, vibrant supercity just teeming with life, markets, and thousands of animals. Moving right along to Section 2, the majestic Ashwamedh Yagya. Now, despite ruling this magnificent, incredibly wealthy city, King Dasharath had one ultimate, unfulfilled desire that really clouded his mind. He desperately wanted an heir. To achieve this monumental request from the cosmos, he planned a majestic ritual known as the Ashwamedh Yagya. But listen, this wasn't an event they just threw together over a long weekend. It required immense calculated patience. In fact, after bringing the esteemed Rishi Shring to the city to officiate the ritual, they waited a full year, one entire year of anticipation just to find the absolute perfect, auspicious moment in the stars to begin the yagya. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer magnitude of ancient royalty. The scale of this event is just staggering. It was essentially the construction of a temporary, bustling city right next to Ayodhya. They had an open invitation to everyone, all kings and all commoners. They actually prepared an infinite food supply so that literally no one, no matter their class, left hungry. Thousands of bricks were meticulously laid just to build the ritual fires. They built custom stables for the huge influx of horses and elephants and erected massive encampments just to house all the foreign soldiers attending. It was basically the ancient world's ultimate mega event. Which brings us to a major turning point in Section 3, Ravana's fatal loophole. Because while this massive yagya was happening down on Earth, a grand cosmic chess match was secretly taking place up in the heavens. The gods were having an emergency meeting with Lord Brahma about the demon king Ravana. Through some really intense penance, Ravana had secured a boon from Lord Brahma that made him practically invincible, and he had become terrifyingly powerful. The source text describes his power with this chilling detail. He was so intimidating that the sun could not burn him, the wind literally stopped blowing when it got near him, and even the mighty crashing ocean stayed entirely still in his presence. He was terrorizing the gods and forcefully disrupting righteous rituals everywhere across the realms. But here is the crucial, fatal flaw in Ravana's invincibility boon. When he asked Brahma for protection, he listed gods, demons, serpents, and celestial beings, basically everyone he considered a worthy threat. But his towering arrogance made him leave out one specific group, humans. He considered humans far too weak and insignificant to ever be a real threat. And that blind spot, that pure arrogance, provided the gods with the exact loophole they needed. Tying that back to Earth, we hit Section 4, the glowing figure and Kir. So let's bring the story back down to the earthly Yagya fire in Ayodhya. Up in the heavens, Lord Vishnu had just agreed to the god's plan. He would live as a human for 11,000 years to exploit Ravana's fatal loophole. And that cosmic decision immediately manifests directly inside King Dasharath's ritual. Right from the roaring flames of the sacrificial fire, a blinding figure miraculously emerges. The text describes this being so vividly, dressed entirely in red, with a red face and this glorious lion-like mane. He radiates a light so intense that a human mind can barely even comprehend it. It's just a fantastic description of pure, overwhelming, godlike energy stepping onto the mortal plane. This divine being walks up to King Dasharath and hands him a celestial dessert, a plate of divine kheer. Now, the division of this divine kheer is actually a fascinating piece of spiritual mathematics. It dictates exactly how Vishnu's essence is distributed to the queens. Dasharath gives exactly half, 50%, straight to Queen Kaushalya, which results in the birth of Ram, the primary avatar. He then takes the remaining half, splits it, and gives 25% to Queen Sumitra, leading to the birth of Lakshman. From the remaining 25%, half of that, so 12.5%, goes to Queen Kaikeyi, resulting in Bharat. And finally, after some thought, the last 12.5% is given back to Sumitra, giving birth to Shatrughan. All four brothers hold a very specific, measured fraction of that divine essence. And that perfectly sets up Section 5, Origins of the Vanarsena. This brings us to another amazing hidden detail from the Balkand that I just love. While Vishnu is preparing to be born on Earth, the text brilliantly sets up the epic war that's going to happen years later by detailing the secret origins of the legendary Vanarsena. Up in the celestial realm, Lord Brahma turns to the other gods and issues a profound command. He tells them, create sons to assist Vishnu, strong, shape-shifting, brave, and as fast as the wind in the form of Vanars. The gods are literally told to simultaneously birth these incredibly powerful warriors to eventually aid Ram's terrestrial mission. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the direct lineage. Just look at how these famous heroes inherited their incredible traits directly from specific gods. Jambavan was born quite literally from a yawn of Brahma. Indra, the king of gods, fathered the immensely strong Vali. The sun god Surya fathered Sugriva. Vishwakarma, the divine architect, fathered Nal. The fire god Agni gave us Nil, and of course, Vayu, the wind god, fathered the unbelievably fast and intelligent Hanuman. It wasn't just an army of monkeys, it was an entire legion of demigods, bred with a specific divine purpose to eventually take down Ravana. The level of detail in the Valmiki Ramayana is simply staggering. From the massive, gleaming, gem-studded streets of Ayodhya, to the exact fractions of a divine dessert, and the coordinated creation of a shape-shifting army of demigods, it's like a beautifully intricate puzzle where every single piece matters. And remember, all of this breathtaking detail is literally just the prelude. It leaves us with a pretty compelling thought. If this much wonder and strategy is packed into just the setup, what other hidden depths are waiting as Ram's journey truly begins? Thank you so much for exploring the awe-inspiring Balkand with me today in this explainer, and keep that curiosity alive.